over the weekend, I came across a Nick Fuentes clip, and I thought that since I have covered him twice now, it would be good to potentially cover him again. I don't know if I will continue this, but people did comment on the Nick Fuentes clips, which made me think, okay, hey, maybe people like what I have to say about him. I'm learning about him. I was shocked last time to find out that it was like a lot of specific stuff about him that was accurate and that I agreed with. And then kind of I watched the clip, and it was just the Dear Black People clip, and it was just like the other clips I see. It's kind of like him rambling and going hard on black people. So when I heard that, I basically had the same response as I have had in private. It's kind of like, fuck you, since it's fuck us. But I'm going to check out this clip now, and, you know, I'm not sure how long it's going to play, but we'll see how much we get through.
All right, guys, let's get into the first clip of Nick.
As you know, this has been a highly anticipated collaboration. My fans have been... They really been giving Patrick Bet-David a hard time, asking him and turning.
So this is, I don't know, but it seems to, actually I do know, because if I read the title, I would have seen that it's talking about Patrick P. David. So I guess he's going to be recapping that interview that we watched. The producer tells me be prepared.
And people were coming up to him at the Charlie Kirk Memorial saying, when are you going to have Nick Fuentes on the show? And it was already in the works. And so they called me up last week and they said, can you get out here as soon as possible? I said, well, given the climate, I said, I'm taking care of some security things, but we got it together pretty quickly.
I agree with Nick. The Charlie Kirk murder was a problem, unfortunate situation, but also a Democratic senator and her husband were killed. Steve Scalise in Louisiana was shot. We need, as I stated before, we can have disagreements. We definitely need to talk to see how we can make America better. But on both sides, we need to call this out. Nick should not be fearing for his life. I don't want anybody to do Nick anything other than possibly send a lot of comments to his ex stating how retarded some of his stances are. Or, since I like some of his stances, go ahead and give him props when he's correct as well.
And so I flew out there. We did the show last night. Like I said, it came out this morning. And I have to say, I think it went great. I didn't really know what to expect. I've never talked to Patrick Bet-David before. I've never had a phone call, text message, never met him. But I thought it went great. I thought it was a fair, objective interview. And I saw some of my fans, they said, well, we've heard a lot of these stories. In fairness, he was going through my backstory because, well, we never met before. But I think that was actually a good thing.
Yeah, so I don't know what his fans were talking about, but for me, I didn't know his backstory. So it was good for me to learn. As he said last time, he started early. He said he was 12, and then he was in speech and debate. And he just grew up learning, not learning, but kind of in that Republican mode. So I kind of seen he came up with the PragerU, and I just seen why he was right-leaning and what information was in his mind, what he had consumed. And what you consume, you know, kind of dictates sometimes your stance on things. So it was good for me what he's saying.
Because he was introducing me to his audience. And I think a lot of the people in his audience, they don't know anything about me. And all they know, and I think maybe the same is true of him, is what they see in the clips, what they've heard, what they see in the clips. And you know how the clips are. They're funny, but they're also provocative. And it's
right. I mean, I don't find them funny. They're more provocative to me, but like I said, he seems to be nuanced. So like I came in this kind of not knowing about him and kind of thinking I dislike him, but shoot, he may not be we definitely disagree, but he may not be a bad person. Well, we disagree on some topics, some points.
Colorful language, and it's hyperbolic. And if you only saw the 30-second clips, you might think I'm a lunatic. You might think I'm a total maniac. So I think it's important to do these kinds of interviews where you sit down with no preconceived idea, in with a loaded gun pointed at the other person's head, metaphorically, you know, ready to read them the riot act. You said this, you said that. Are you racist? Are you a Nazi? I think it's important to have these kinds of conversations where you sit down and you say, where did you come from? How did you develop your views? What are your views? What's your background? So I thought it was a really good preliminary interview. Again, for people that maybe don't know about me, don't know my views, maybe they never gave me a chance before. And even for him as a guy, like I said, we never had contact before. I thought he was very fair, very objective. We walked through the timeline. We just leveled with each other.
I just must say, he's an intelligent guy. So I say some things about him that are not so friendly, but this is not my third time, at least with you guys, seeing him talk and seeing him discuss things. He's smart. He has his shit together. It's in order. I mean, he makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, yeah, I can see why other people, I think his fans are not fans or supporters, are called the groypers. I could definitely see why, if you don't have a problem with what he's saying and you're just listening to him without the baggage that I brought, I could definitely see why you would pay attention to him, consider his viewpoints and things, because he seems knowledgeable. He seems to be rational and making sense, and he has the knowledge on the topics, at least some of the topics we're hearing. So I definitely see why the groypers are such supporters of him. I understand it better now.
And I was honest with him about kind of how I came to be the way I am, and not just my political station, but also my political views. And I think he was honest with me too. He had some constructive criticism. And as you know, the N-word cast a long shadow over this encounter. I like to use that word. He hates the word.
I think I told you guys I was going to finish the interview. I wasn't able to, but I will finish the interview. Yes, one of the inflammatory things that I did notice that he said, he's a white guy saying nigger. Obviously, nigga. Well, he probably says nigger too, but he says nigga. It probably does offend a lot of people. That's not what offends me about Nick. Like, all white people, it's fine with me if you say nigga. Probably can't tell it to other black people. They'll fight you. You want to say it, maybe just put my name after it or something, because I'm fine with everybody calling me a nigga, because I'm a nigga. And I discussed the etymology of the word nigga so people can understand why I'm comfortable with it. I understand the history of the word, and maybe if I present to people what the word really means and not necessarily what people think it means, maybe they'll understand why I'm comfortable with it. But I stopped it here just because I started thinking about Lily again, because she says nigga, and yeah, I think it's not fine for white people to say the N-word, but in the spirit of me wanting everybody to talk, like I want people to be able to discuss the Jews, I want us to work on our issues, I think there's going to have to be some give and take. And obviously, it's tough for white people to feel like if they comment about blacks, even take nigga out of it. If you're white, you comment about blacks, you're always worried, are they going to think I mean this about all blacks, or are they going to find me racist? Whereas if you're black and you say something, people don't openly call you racist. I guess the reason is because obviously the history of America, blacks were slaves, they had Jim Crow. I do see how historically blacks were like inferior to whites, but we're getting to a point now, as I've discussed, where a lot of that may be gone. So like our generation, or maybe the one under me, really should at least consider, if you want to be friends with people, you not just be friends, but work with people, you want fairness on both sides, some of the things that we are not open to, we should consider. So if I think the Democrats and Republicans should talk to one another, I'm open to talking to Nick. Not saying right now everybody just say white people can say nigga, but just put the thought in your head to just consider, like, don't judge them on being white. See what they mean when they say nigga, and see what they think about niggas. Do they think they're a nigga type? You know, I'm going on a rant, or a sort of rant, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, let's give people a chance, or at least start considering giving people a chance.
Doesn't like the word at all, doesn't think I should say it, and he gave me his feedback on that, and you know what? And I take the feedback. I take it in the spirit it was given, which is, you know, he's older than me. He's built an incredible operation. Guys, you should have seen it. It's unbelievable. They've got this massive complex. They got a gym. They got a computer room, studio. I mean, it's unbelievable. They have like an army of people.
Wasn't sure what he was about to talk about, but I caught a point earlier in that statement that he made. Patrick P. David is older. So I noticed some of that, not completely. My young black friends do have a problem with white people saying nigga, but I do notice that older blacks, whether either side of my family, but just in general in the public, they don't want me to say it, but I'm going to tell the truth. Older black people say nigga, right? So they said it around us, but by them being older and they grew up in segregation, they weren't around white people. So they'll get mad at us with the rap music and just in regular speech. how, because sometimes I've had people in my family catch me. They're like, you just said nigga in front. What's some white people? Like when we get back to the car, I'm like, they niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever. Like our generation, y'all are at least white, black. Everybody's used to the black people saying nigga around everybody. But I can see what he's saying here. It's like, okay, Pete's older. How he looks at nigga might be different. Like how the older black people I'm around, though they're saying it, but they said it in private. It kind of throws them off. Even when a black person says it in front of white people, they're like uncomfortable.
It's one of the most impressive operations I've seen. And anyway, I don't know how I got on that, but the point being is
I understand, bro. You talking to a camera, there's nobody there, and you just get the rambling. That's why we might sound crazy sometimes.
respect his opinion. So, of course, I have my style. He has his style. We come from different generations, different countries. I'm from Chicago. I'm a little animated. I'm a little colorful, right? But he gave me his feedback, and I take.
You can be animated and colorful without being too disrespectful. Just not gonna say a slight criticism. Just a suggestion, right? Spirit of not friendship, but peace between me, Nick, and the Gripers. Just a suggestion. Maybe he could be colorful without being so disrespectful.
Take it in the spirit it was given, which is, I think he cares about America. I think he cares about the state of the discourse, which is obviously the subject of the discourse now with Charlie Kirk's assassination. And as an older guy, I respect it. He's an elder. So I appreciate it actually in a sense. So I thought it was great. I like him. This guy, he's a big guy. I've never seen him before in person, but he's like a gangster. He's like a big guy. But I like his energy. And I have to say that in the right-wing space, you come into contact with a lot of different kinds of people. I really like the people on our side. I don't always agree with them on everything, and I'm extremely political. I'm extremely religious and right-wing. But what I mean by that is in the right wing, we are overlapping with the UFC world, with guys like Jake Shields, the poker world.
Okay, there's a few things to unpack here. So when he says the right, that's talking about Republicans. And the reason Republicans are sometimes seen as racist is because what he's saying, and I'm not calling, well, I do think he's racist, but with his type of narrative and his, not just political beats, but some of his cultural takes, the people with those beliefs tend to be on the right, and that's the Republicans. So just to let people know why people call Republicans racist, right? There's like he said, a wide variety of people, but you don't hear many white people on the Democrat or the liberal side being the ones talking negatively about blacks. You hear it coming from the right, which is Republicans. So that's kind of how the Republicans get the sort of stereotype of being racist. He also mentioned Jake, who I've spoken to a few times on X. I don't think he's racist, but like they say, he's anti-Semitic, but he would fit along the conservative and right side. But I do see, just from paying attention on X, watching TV, I definitely see the Democrats are just as wide of a group as the right. So I could see why Republicans as a whole would feel like when people call them racist, it's like, it would be like how I've noticed one time in the comments, somebody called me a liberal or a leftist. It's like, just because you have predominantly voted for Democrats does not mean that you agree with the far end of your party. So I could also see how like a Republican would say, if I say they're racist, not me, I wouldn't call it Republican, but people call Republican racist, like, blacks vote, I think 90% Democrat. Well, that's not necessarily because of the policies. I might have touched on that before. I'll definitely touch on it in the future. Policies, blacks are a little liberal, a little Democrat, but not necessarily far left. And the reason why they're voting strongly Democrat, even though they don't align with the policies, is because in their mind, based upon some things in history, which I'll go into another time, I actually do a segment on it. It's like they see the Republicans as racist. And as I'm saying, it's the party itself has a wide variety. So it's kind of, it's wrong to name the whole party based upon a fraction or a faction of people.
Guys like Dan Bilzerian, and there's some other gamblers, like some of the super chatters on this show. And you also have some of the business people, some of the grind set guys like a Patrick Bet-David. And I have to say what they all have in common, a guy like a Jake Shields, a Dan Bilzerian, a Patrick Bet-David, is with each of these different domains, whether it's the fighting, poker, and everything that Dan does a lot of stuff, business, is I like that they're all straight shooters. They're all like,
probably close out the reaction on this because I know my producer wants me to read comments, and actually something funny kind of happened on the ride here. Something that was happening in the ride made me think about him. But I like straight shooters. So again, not going to take it as far as saying I like Nick. I just have too much baggage with him. But like, for example, Jake, who I had no baggage with, we got into an altercation once on X. So, words. We talked. He was straightforward. I was straightforward. It was just a respect thing. I don't agree with he's very anti-Jewish. I'm clear. I don't believe I am. I just criticize them when I see criticism. But he criticizes them a lot. So, and he says nigga. He's white. He says nigga. I don't trip. And he does have some views about blacks that I don't agree with. I'm talking about Jake. So even though I don't disagree with the views, I respect the honest conversation. He's always respectable with me, and he always states when he meets black people or Jewish people or anybody individually, he's always like, I treat the individual away. But then with Jake, he's kind of like, well, he says Jews, and it kind of represents the Israel government. And then he also sends me stats talking about he tweets them, but he also sends me stats showing how other Israelis believe in Zionism and things. So since I'm interested in that topic, I'll probably look into those things more. But like, he treats the individual. All I say that to say that he treats individuals fairly, but sometimes he talks about the group negatively, and then with him, based upon stats he's seen, he thinks many of the Jews are in agreement with Israel. I'm not sure about that. And then the same thing with blacks. Like, he'll make comments about the black culture, and he'll point to the inner city or something about music, and it's like, okay, I can see there are a lot of blacks in the inner cities. I can see it's a lot of black people doing what you have a problem with, but then you have to remind him, it's 45 million people. You can see 10,000 black people or 30,000 black people doing something. That's not even a blimp in our population. So just because a lot of people do something doesn't mean it's representative of a large portion. So I just kind of thought that was a good place to stop the reaction.